you don't stop to the TikTok, you don't stop to the TikTok.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Total Geek Live's ongoing Doomsday Clock review. Today we're going over issue 3, and with me is Baltimore Guy and Danny, and we're bringing you the ins and the outs and the thoughts and the spectacle and everything that is this amazing series thus far. So, when we last left off, in issue 2, the comedian out of nowhere shows up in Lex Luthor's office and bum bum bum. How the hell did he get there?
Yeah, right?
I wonder if we'll ever find out.
We do.
What?
Nope, it ends here. Sorry.
Yeah. And that's it. Series over. Doomsday
Goodbye,
Clock.
folks.
And I'm trying to remember, did he shoot Lex?
Yes.
He shot him with
Yes.
a gun, right? Okay.
Shoot loops.
The bullet was actually meant for Vite, but
Right.
with his quick reflexes.
That's right. He's just so fast.
Yeah.
He is, which we see in the opening of Doomsday Clock. It's pretty much, it plays out the Watchmen's
Eerily similar.
very eerie similar of the confrontation when the comedian wrestles with Ozzy and gets thrown out the window, but then it flips. But it keeps flipping back and forth, but we see how the comedian ends up there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
basically we also find out now how the button that showed up in Batman's cave appeared
Mm-hmm.
when it did.
Is that the same button?
Yes.
So the button that originally fell in Watchmen
Mm-hmm.
with the blood
Mm-hmm.
is in Batman's lair.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I guess I must have missed a part. I thought because he has a new one now. That's what it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Batman discovered it in Rebirth 1 when they relaunched the whole DC universe yet again.
Right.
And then Flash and Batman explored that
Right.
last year.
So, in Doc Manhattan teleporting the comedian through into this reality,
Right.
as he's falling, that button gets teleported as well, but it didn't end up in the harbor with
Right.
the comedian. It ended up like stuck in Batman's wall. So I guess something weird happened, or, well, I guess, would it be accidental? Does the Doc allow accidents like that to happen, or did he intend for that button to?
I feel
What
like
do you
he does kind of everything intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
These,
he's that
like,
powerful. He could
President.
absolutely
kind of-
do that. Because remember,
But-
he's all realities, all past, present, future kind of thing,
Yeah.
all at the in the singularity.
Yeah.
That hurts my head thinking.
I know.
Trying to even fathom processing that.
We
Right.
can just say that when the button hit the ground, it bounced a lot and just conveniently bounced perfectly.
I mean, it's
into
falling from
Batman's
another
cave.
world, so sure.
Yeah, why not? I mean, this is his sandbox.
I do love that the teleporting is the same from Watchmen. That kind of the blocking of the lines.
Yeah, the dark and
That-
then yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really. And he ends up in Metropolis too. So,
Mm-hmm.
thought that was interesting. That where Doc Manhattan left him or dropped him, so to speak.
Right.
Um,
Well, that's because they needed him there to confront them at Lex.
well, you don't know when he comes in though.
Oh, you know
How-
what, guys?
You know, but Dr. Manhattan does.
True, I guess. So.
No, when he's on the beach, the button's there with him.
Is it?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, the button's
Okay,
there with
then
him.
how the hell did
Some
it get
story.
into Batman's cave?
The button has a story.
Yeah, go
Not
to,
the button story.
Right.
go to page 4.
Well, I sit corrected.
All right.
Yeah, it is there.
Okay, yeah, I can see. Yeah, it's on the beachfront.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I have, let's just get started off, is the comedian is obviously back, and this isn't some weird hoax or trick or anything like that.
Right.
Um, that's got to be a massive paradox in the sense that obviously he died, and it set the events that you saw him physically buried, and it set the whole events that led to the Watchmen up until this point, and yet he's back. So they saved him from his point of death and brought him here. So he's dead and not dead at the same time. He's like Schrodinger's comedian at this point.
Nice one.
Well, at any point after he serves his purpose in Doomsday Clock, Manhattan could just send him back into that free fall. And
Exact moment.
Exactly.
yeah,
Or I would even think that Manhattan has the ability to control such manipulation of anything that why not have the body be in two places at once and that type of thing.
Yeah. I do like what he does say to Ozymandias is what I'm going to do to you for what you did, they'll give me a medal.
Yeah.
So I think he still believes that at some point he'll come back to his
Yeah.
his time, reality, and everything. Right.
That's kind of an interesting thing to keep in mind and kind of keep in thought, because the ramifications for having comedian here means, well, maybe Rorschach is here too, because if comedian's not dead, perhaps Rorschach isn't either. Maybe.
Then we'll have some Rorschach on Rorschach action, because Rorschach is this big part of this series. Well,
Who?
the new the new Rorschach. Rorschach.
He gets a lot of play in this issue, so that's pretty cool. We get to see a lot more about him, which is very fascinating.
Yeah, I love the panels when he's sitting there. He delivers Rorschach's journal to Batman, and Batman's sitting there reading it, and you just see Rorschach in the background is
Waiting.
So what page are you on now? Batman's like 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That leads to that great shower scene where we see Rorschach go in, and he, takes off his mask, and he's like, I gotta get the filth off me of that vet, and he's scrubbing so hard that blood's just pouring down his face.
Yeah. I have to wonder how bad it scabbed up afterwards. Like,
probably pretty bad.
You see him on the pillow, like Alfred might not like to with that.
Just throw it away.
I doubt it's the first bloody pillow that Alfred's had to deal with.
You know what? You're right.
So that's another thing, because they finally show this new Rorschach's face, and it's a young kid. And I looked around online. I was like, "Who is this guy?" Because obviously they don't tell, and I can't tell within the context of the story who this guy is. One of the interesting theories I saw out there, in the original Watchmen, Malcolm Long was supposedly had a son, and because he did have a coffee mug that said "Dad" on it, and you could see the flashbacks of this new Rorschach driving into town, and obviously he missed the event, or he was far enough away from the event that he was not affected and killed by it. There's a lot of fan theory going on from what I can tell online that this might be Malcolm Long's son, which would give him a personal vendetta to get wrapped up into all of this. And but it still answers questions. How did he come in possession of the Kovacs journal? How did he adopt all the mannerisms? Where did he get the costume? More specifically, the mask. So yet it opens up a ton of questions. And, again, the identity isn't confirmed, but it would give motivation if this theory has any plausibility to it.
Yeah,
it makes the most sense, because Malcolm Long was Rorschach's therapist. He would know everything. I'm sure he's got documents and documents.
Yes.
Like notebook after notebook piled up. And if this kid's parents have died, he immediately goes to goes to those journals to seek answers and stuff. And that's how he becomes so much like the real Rorschach, is because there's just a foundation of information right there for him. I would totally believe that. I think that is completely plausible.
Yeah, I feel it's very plausible too, because I think that, you know, even in the first book, when we started talking about it, and you see that his skin is African American or dark or black, and we were like, oh, you know, your mind immediately races to, okay, so who could be this connection? And within the Watchmen world, that is the connection. We even said, oh, maybe it's him, but we knew it couldn't be because he died.
Right.
But we were like,
but now that we see how young he is, he could
right,
be.
yeah, and you're right. The only thing that I have a little bit of an issue with is if the destruction of New York City from the invasion was so great, looking at how close it was in his front window,
Right.
Yeah.
like that person could not survive. You know, like that, it seemed way too close for the, you know, the background radius to, you know, be unharmed.
Right. Would have made more sense if like he was driving maybe like up on a hill and he could see it from far away distance or something like that. That would have been a more feasible viewpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, I'm really fascinated by that. I think it has a lot of weight to it, Kai.
Yeah. Because and what you said, like with the notes and everything, yeah. Because I'm sure Dr. Long took so many clinical notes of like all his mannerisms, his personality type, and you know you can go study that. And yeah, there's a good question about yeah, he's so close. I mean, it's right there. I don't know if maybe that just indicates how big this thing was, that it was so big that even being far enough away, it's still that big, or maybe there's just a certain radius, whatever its psychic scream was that killed everybody. Maybe he was just out of range, not to.
It's like right there.
Be. I mean, it's comics.
And
Yeah.
there could be a reason why he was just out of range like that.
Right. All part of the
Overall Manhattan plan.
Mm.
The Manhattan Project, as it were.
Yes.
Oh. So I think we need to get into it. I think we need to get into it hard.
I've got it right. I like the part where it starts, man, with Marionette and the mime. Yeah, let's talk about them.
What a scene! Wow.
Yeah, I think they're easily the standout the breakout characters from this series. Everybody loves them. And everyone I've talked to that's reads this book is like, oh, did you see what Marionette? Oh, what do you think? You know, Marionette and Mime and blah, blah, blah. It's like they're going to get their own something after this.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, so they go in, they escaped, as we saw at the end of issue 2 with the handcuffs laying there.
Yep.
They're out walking about. They go into a bar, just looking to wet their whistle, and it's
when you cross dimensions.
Exactly, you know, you get thirsty.
Yeah.
And
2 whiskeys.
2 whiskeys.
Is
that how you hear her voice?
Yeah, I don't know. I definitely think that it's kind of a jovial, high pitch kind of thing, but I don't know about her accent or any. But, I mean, well, they're from New York, right? So
probably, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
because they operated around there, so.
Mm-hmm.
But I love her line. Who's the Joker?
Yeah.
And they're like,
everyone's crazy about that.
That's so awesome, yeah.
And we get to see there's actual manifestation of the mime's powers.
yes.
Yeah.
When he's holding you actually see a gleam of the invisible gun in his hand.
Yep.
And a glint off of the knife as he's throwing it.
Yeah.
And then probably one of the cool things is Marionette using her strings.
Boy, are they sharp.
Yeah. Razor wire.
Not want to run into that.
No.
Oh, eyes.
Oh, the hand.
And it's so you can see this, you know, why everybody is saying that she's so much like Harley Quinn, because she says pulling out the knives now. Oh baby, and then she goes, I want to play too.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yes, she and Harley would get along perfect.
You know, I have a feeling
Yeah.
Harley might actually annoy her. Like, as I read her, and so far, she's like Harley in that, you know, she gets off on the violence and the playfulness and stuff, but is more serious. I don't know. There's something more adult about her than Harley
Oh,
so
right.
far.
I think that she's less crazy than Harley Quinn. She's more kind of grounded and you know, one, she's had a child, and so she knows what it's like to be a mother and that kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely I could see her as she's definitely a different tone of a Harley Quinn.
But after everything is said and done, after they go to this Joker bar, they're definitely interested. It's like, well, apparently the Joker is a big deal. We need to meet him.
Right.
Yeah.
That's going to be an interesting meeting. I feel sorry for anyone else that's on the outside of that meeting.
Well, it's also like, how do you get the Joker's attention? Well, this will do it.
Yeah, you just completely
meeting's
wasted
gonna happen.
his club.
Well, there's the variant out there for issue 5, I believe. It's the Joker putting on lipstick, holding the marionettes
Oh, okay.
compact,
Uh-huh.
you know, sitting there putting on lipstick. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely hitting. There's going to be a meetup. There's going to be a Joker.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Thing.
Yeah.
But I find it interesting. So far, we're 3 issues in, and there's no Superman. And Superman is like, you know, it's his logo on the Doomsday Clock, and it's, you know, it was his visions leading into this before this started. And it's like, what is he going to come into play? I mean, because as we said before, this is a very slow burn, but it's getting hotter and hotter every issue. It's like, okay, so when does Superman come into play?
Yeah.
And to add on to that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, this is still like the setup of it. We still have to remember that this is allegedly a year out from current DC continuity. So we kind of have to understand the landscape, and I think the best way to do that is through Batman. And because of that kind of status change, this is the easiest way to kind of get ourselves into it. And of course, when Superman comes, it's going to be a big deal for sure.
Yeah. And what I was getting at earlier was we haven't seen any of the other heroes, because I expect Flash will be involved somehow because he's already had prior involvement with this matter. Wonder Woman, I haven't seen her yet, and I'm sure she'll get involved into this, especially as this crisis starts really making itself known and gets bigger and bigger. I'm sure the heroes will be drawn out, but it's been very centric on who it's been about. A brief Superman cameo, Luthor and Batman. This is very much a Watchmen story for all intents and purposes. One of the things I did notice as a detail, and I'm going to have to go back and read the first 2 issues. Did anyone else notice that Batman's reverted back to his original logo, the oval?
Yeah, and that's something I guess is going to be happening. I mean, towards as we get caught up on the year cycle, reason why it's gone back to that. But I thought part of it had to do with the issue, like his actual Detective Comics reaching a certain number. I think like 1,000 or 800 or whatever I can't remember what issue number they're on at the moment. But I thought it was getting close. They were trying to make a little synergy thing happen.
Because he still doesn't have the blue pants. They just brought back the old style logo, which I thought was interesting and kind of cool.
Yeah. And then we have the really, really cool Batman Rorschach scene.
Yeah.
Right. Before we get there, there's a big part of the middle of this book we're assuming is Johnny Thunder from the old JSA. He's Mr. Thunder, he's got the green suit and the green bow tie, and standing there just looking out the window waiting for his grandchildren while these other folks, in an old folks home, while two people on the couch are fighting over and flipping the channels between the old marathon of the old-timey movie and then the current news.
Right.
And the flipping of that fills you in kind of on the state of affairs of where Batman stands.
Right, exactly. Metagene.
Yeah, the whole... That was very X-Men-y to me.
Mm-hmm.
The whole... they're the government's putting into effect or trying to put into effect metagene monitors at airports and everything, everything, and everyone's like, "Oh, I feel so much safer," and everything.
And not only that, but then you get I think it was Germany, where they had an experiment go wrong, and they were actually trying to create metahumans, and there was this huge explosion and such. And I forget which one they mentioned. They mentioned a specific metahuman
thing. But the other thing is, I'm not very familiar with the DC universe, but I always thought it was interesting that their metahumans, which are some sort of the equivalent of the superpowered mutants, inhuman, whatever you want to call them for Marvel, that they've never seemed, at least what I've read, to have a fear them, hate them, feeling towards them.
Right.
And like you said, Kai, when this feels sort of X-Men-y, why is this happening? It feels like DC is like, oh yeah, this kind of worked for them, so we're going to introduce it in here too.
Right.
I don't know how
well
that is, but
I guess this ties back into, and I need to read Metal. Metal is apparently an amazing line, and a lot of, I think some stuff bleeds into this, but the Oz effect that happened before this, I keep want to say Dr. Oz like the TV show, but Oz,
no, not that.
Yeah, no, not Dr. Oz, is creating all these events and kind of setting forth a lot of disruption in the human populace, and I think it's those events that he set forth that is causing this hysteria towards heroes and metas and all that. So I think that's that bleeding, that effect, the Oz effect bleeding into this.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Which,
read The Button, 4-part series between Flash and Batman comics. Read the Oz effect, and I'm not sure how much of Metal ties into this, but I hear Metal's amazing. But that's on a tangent. So back into this.
what I like about the story that the film that they're showing, it's very much in the Watchmen vein of the Black Sail, or is it Black Sail? The ship, the old ship story.
The comic. The comic.
With the Watchmen series. It's very much in that sort of vein. And I like that. I love seeing this in here as well, but I'm not sure how it plays into the whole narrative yet. So part of me is like, oh, this is great, but I'm going to read it when I have the entire collection so I can fully kind of understand everything that's happening and what parts are kind of like super important and which are just kind of there to sort of move along.
Yeah.
But
Tales of the Black Freighter.
That's what it was. Thank you. But and also the supplemental material at the back is relayed into this narrative too. So it's pretty neat.
Yeah. And
it's so sad. He's waiting there for his granddaughter and her son forever, and they don't come.
Yep.
It's really sad.
And so it makes you think, are they alive? Are they really coming? Is this something he's always waiting for them?
Right.
It's...
Right. I read that in one of the DC realities, I don't know if it was pre-crisis or post-crisis or New 52 or something, but the Johnny Thunder character had, as an older character, had Alzheimer's. So this could certainly sort of be a part of that.
But he's also outside of Wally West, that has memories of uh, before all the time manipulation happened. Like he still remembers things that
Okay.
kind
Oh,
of
really?
erased or kind of
The
changed.
52 era.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's because I was going to ask
He was
why
born.
is he in here? You know,
Right? Why is he so prominent?
Right. So
Yeah.
that would be a great explanation of why.
So right.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Well, then we definitely got to go back and talk about the whole Batman Rorschach and how
Yes.
that
Yeah,
goes.
that
And
was-
it was really neat. To, you know, they.
So Batman. That was so Batman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
You know, he's not going to go consult other people first or whatever. No, he's going to make his own damn decision. He already knows this guy is wacko for wacko. I've seen this a million times before.
Bitch ate my pancakes.
Yeah, that too. I mean, he ate my breakfast.
Batman pancakes.
So, I mean, this guy's already hit the strike. He already struck out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what I love is, you know, I try to just go into these books not expecting anything and just kind of reading and kind of letting myself enjoy the surprises and be taken for, you know, a read. And yeah, when it was like maybe the last page before it happens,
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, I see what you did there, Bats. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what we're talking about here is Batman is going along with Rorschach, and he's like, I've read the journal, and I know where to find him. I know where to find Dr. Manhattan. He's like, really? Awesome. So they're going along, and he's like, yeah, I've set this device to detect this anomaly or, you know, his signature, and we're going to go there. So they're going along, and he's like, hey, that's cool. And they end up at Arkham.
Yeah.
And they're going down the corridors, and they walk right into a cell.
Oh, but before we get to there, let's talk about kind of the parallels because you know they are such kindred spirits in their way.
Yeah.
You know, Batman pulls out his gun to to shoot his little grappling hook, and Rorschach pulls out his, and it's a lot bigger. And kind of bulkier and stuff, and he's like, and so as they're walking down the corridor, he goes, so do you make your own equipment? You know, do you have any spares? It's kind of nice that yours
Have
is
a
a lot
smaller
more
one.
compact. Yeah, a smaller one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I loved that. That was a neat little thing, and I don't know, that was just a great little moment there.
Do you think like both Rorschach and Batman both sound the same, like gravelly voice, so you can't really tell them apart?
Yes.
Wonder if spare some. I suppose he's in. And it's like he's like, who's saying this? It's like the same. It's like they adapted this to an animated feature. It's the same guy.
Same guy. Yep.
And,
Yes.
and then just they keep getting deeper and deeper, trying to out gravel each other.
Oh my
By the,
After a while, it's like chewing charcoal and glass. Now, on this scene, I have three different thoughts about how this scene played out. I can see this from three different interpretations because Rorschach 2 wakes up and Batman is there and he's calm and reassuring. It's okay, just a bad dream. Like you said, I know where he is. Let's go get him. And then they go this way, and you know, he locks him up. And I have three different thoughts about this. The first one is Batman thinks Rorschach is completely dangerous, which understandably, I mean, he's found Wayne Manor. He's found the Batcave. He knows he's Bruce Wayne.
ate the pancakes.
He's eaten the pancakes. He slept in his bed. He's hung out in the house. This guy is clearly someone I can't take chances with. He knows too much about me, so I've got to put him away so he can't get involved. Mm-hmm. The other thing is Batman, after staying up all night reading the journal, probably thinks this whole scenario of this giant teleporting alien monster along with the Kovacs' previous conspiracy theories, God knows what he's fully put into this journal. He probably thinks this whole thing is insane and it's got to be a hoax. But that doesn't seem like Batman. Batman's not one to just simply just write something off and let it go.
Right.
So my thought, on the third one, I think Batman stayed up all night, read what was in Kovacs' journal, and it scared the hell out of him. Yeah. I think it scared him so bad that to have someone like Rorschach running around sharing these truths it would just cause a panic.
Mhm.
And the best thing to do is just lock him away with a bunch of other nuts. So if he's screaming and ranting and everything else, no one's going to notice, no one's going to care or make a difference. I think Batman stayed up all night, and what he read in that journal scared him to death.
And it probably answered a lot of the questions, because throughout Rebirth, Manhattan's been making appearances. Like, in the whole button thing, he saw Reverse Flash just vanish in blue light. He's seen, the button that mysteriously appeared in his cave. He's seen all these these different things going on.
Mhm.
And then he gets this mysterious guy with this book talking about Dr. Manhattan and his powers, and probably mentioning all the blue and stuff. And he probably is like, shit, with like Guy was saying, probably scared Batman. And he he doesn't work with anyone. He works alone, so he's going to lock Rorschach up. He's
Right.
like, you're an unknown element.
Yeah, compartmentalize. He's compartmentalizing his strategy of how to deal with this situation. And I mean, Bats. I mean, he's been in outer space. He's been in different universes, and he's not just been here. He's aware of things like this can happen. It's just that it freaks him out. Totally understandable. It would freak me out too.
The other kind of sort of wrinkle is Saturn Girl, who's from Legion of Superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
That, I would think, universe or story or timeline has been wiped out. However, she has appeared, and she's appeared in Arkham Asylum.
Mm-hmm.
So when Batman says, "Oh, these temporal energies, I've located them. They're in Arkham Asylum," my first thought was, "Oh, it's Saturn Girl. Like, oh, maybe this is some sort of connection to it, because she's kind of gone crazy. She's telepathic, so she has like these, and that's why she's been in Arkham Asylum, because people think she's crazy." So when he goes in there, I'm like, oh, maybe we're going to see Saturn Girl, and then of course that set me up for the surprise that he's just locking him in there.
Yeah.
But now that you're talking, Guy, I kind of wonder if he's playing another long game. Get Rorschach into a place, monitor him, see what's going on, see how he interacts, because he's going to be interacting with the people that are there, and will come upon the answer, and Batman will be following him. You let the person go find what they're going to find.
Right.
He is a detective.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we all know what happened last time Rorschach got locked up.
Well, I hope the Arkham inmates don't bother him during lunchtime. That's all I'm going to say.
Don't steal his pancakes.
They're locked in here with me.
I do have to say, we kind of skipped over something, and that is Ozymandias' amazing dexterity and gymnastics.
Yes.
5 freaking fall out of, it's got to be at least a 70-story building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to be able to survive that on just a
tuck and a roll and a bounce.
While still holding his pet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty great for a guy who has cancer.
Yeah. Right?
And no real superpowers.
Oh, yeah. Right?
But yeah, so I just wanted to throw that in there because that's still pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
He was pretty hurt. It's not like he survived without a scratch.
Absolutely.
It's not like he was like, woo, that sucked. He was like, holding his cat.
Yeah.
Well, and then you did notice that they said that Lex was in the hospital and his attacker is too.
Yes.
So I wonder if that's supposed to be Ozymandias or if it's supposed to be the comedian.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So of course the news isn't going to report who it is.
Mm-hmm.
Of course
It's
not.
also left to us to kind of like, who is it?
Yeah, I guess when I read that, I just assumed it was the comedian.
That's what I thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was the comedian.
But the comedian wasn't hurt when he left.
he just tossed him and.
So I think people kind of assume that, okay, Crash, this is the person that must have done it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
His attacker who then threw himself out a window.
Yeah, now, I'm looking back at the panels and stuff. You're right. Yeah, it might be Ozymandias.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's not going to get up and walk away.
No, he was unconscious right there.
Yeah.
Because his little cat was going, Like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this was a really a good progression issue. You know, the story progresses. You do see some answers to questions, obviously leading to more questions, but still pretty good forward, installment.
Oh yeah.
It's something that I prefer in a limited series, is that you get a little bit, and you get a little bit of answers, like the manifestation of the mimes stuff,
Yep.
and seeing the marionette in action, things that we've asked in previous reviews of this. But then yes, here's a little bit more to where you're really really wanting issue 4 in your hands right now, and I love that feeling. I love that.
And
feeling.
I do.
Yeah,
I
do.
definitely do.
And, some sad news about that part is, I know that when we first started talking, it's like, let's hope that they don't have any like delays or anything.
Right.
Well, boys, there are delays.
Ah.
Is delayed, I think, until like late in February if it's coming out, or maybe March, and they're skipping March and April completely. So no Doomsday Clock for that. They're supposed to be coming back 5 through 12 bi-monthly for the rest of the publication. Fingers crossed.
So worst case scenario, this may go into 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Set yourself up. You gotta. I have two feelings about it. One, you want to get the issues out so that everything syncs up.
Right.
But at the same time, this is going to be a collection, which is the same thing that happened with Watchmen. That's why they didn't rush that one, because it's a collected edition, and it is amazing as one full read with no villain artist, with no, sloppy anything.
Right.
So I get that, but at the same time, I want it now.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only other theory is that they've handed off the publishing duties to Image Comic of the 1990s. They've traveled back in time. Dr. Manhattan's meddling and says, "Here you go, Image. You can handle publishing duties. Just put it under DC." Oh no. It's good.
Wow.
Well, I'd be down. I'd read a Sam Keith version of
Yeah, you
Doomsday
would.
Clock. I love
Dr. Manhattan versus Savage Dragon. That would be over fast.
All of them.
All right, so we're loving this series. It's been a hit. It could have easily stunk, and I part of me keeps waiting for the other shoe to drop, but 3 issues in, just that slow burn. It's getting better and better. Cannot wait to dive into 4. We can't wait to get together and talk to you about it. Tell us your thoughts, things that you caught that we missed. If we were completely wrong about something in our remembering of it, let us know. We're happy to be corrected. It's not gonna hurt our feelings.
Yeah.
Might hurt guys' feelings, but
I am a sensitive lad.
Yeah.
But the clock is ticking, the blood is flowing, so stuff's happening.
Yep.
Get your copy.
And let us know. But anyways, that's it for us. As always, it's all geek to us. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Tick tock, tick tock, tick.
Tick tock, you don't stop. Don't slam us with a copyright notice. Tick tock. I can sing it.
Or
No.
Can't take my song from me.
As long as you don't sing more than 10 seconds of it.
You don't own my voice. Maybe they do. I didn't read all the end user agreement.
This is pretty serious stuff in here.
Well, that's...
Danny, I can't tell if you're sticking your tongue out at me or not, and it's really upsetting me. So
crap.
So you're just gonna keep reading the book.
Float.
I'm just gonna read this book and pretend you're not sticking your tongue out at me. in your hidden screen.
Go to call.
And then John's doing the little sexy pose with his armpit like Beyonce.
Man, I don't know.
We'll call you Kaizanse.
Beard on say.
So see, I turned video off, and I turned video back on, and boom, it's there. But you guys can't see me.
No,
Be
sir.
damn it.
OB, damn it.
Yeah,
You just gotta see
OBS.
that.
I know what that S is for.